Hello, welcome to F1 2020 ranked mode. I'm going to tell you about some of the things about F1 2020 that I don't like, as I have a pretty nice correction there. A couple of weeks ago I made a video about the things that I do like about the game, but however this game is obviously not perfect. I'm just gonna tell you about some of the things that I think they could have done better. The first one being pit stops. Well, there are a couple of things wrong with this. The first one being the animation of actually turning into the pit lane. So as you can see in the slow motion, I'm just gonna put it still here. As you can see, the wheels are straight, but the steering wheel obviously it's not. So you know that animation is just terrible. That's one thing. But possibly more importantly, why not let the player turn into the pits himself, as opposed to making the game do it for them? That will be a great addition to the game, requiring the player to learn a completely new skill and give them a challenge that the drivers in real life also have to face. Go now. This would give the player full control of the car during the entire race. On to the next thing. You can assign a control for the clutch, for example if you happen to have a clutch pedal on your pedal set. However, you can only use it at the start or when driving away after a pit stop. Otherwise, it holds no further purpose. So even if you press the clutch while driving, you will still have drive from the engine. This is pretty lame in my opinion. It would be cool if, for example, after a spin, you would get anti-stall if you don't press the clutch in time. As you see on TV, where if a real F1 driver spins, you can see them reach for the clutch very quickly. What's also lame is that it automatically puts the gearbox in gear right before the start of a race, even if you're playing in manual mode. Okay, next up the track limit system as you're heading into Cops Corner here. In real life this would not be a track limit, because a curb is actually the track limit, but in the game this is a exceeding of the track limits, because the game uses the white line as a track limit, and yeah, why don't they get those track limits to match real life? Because whenever you're done watching F1 in real life on TV, then you go play the game, and to then find out that the track limit system doesn't match real life, and that's very confusing and annoying. However, I should notice that the track limit problem is something that even F1 in real life struggles with, because sometimes they change track limits throughout the weekends. Next up, theater mode. Theater mode is a pretty cool feature in which you can see yourself race from outside of the car. It's pretty enjoyable. However, it lacks some essential things. Firstly, the amount of races you can see. You can only watch the last 3 races you did, which you can only save in theater mode itself. So when you're doing a bunch of races in a row, you cannot just save a replay of one good race you did without exiting the room. Unless the race you wanted to save was one of the last 3 races. It would make more sense if you could save a replay of a race right after you finish a race. Another thing is the fixed viewing position the replays have. You cannot switch to onboard, even though theoretically that should be possible. Also, the computer picks the highlights for you. The computer is not terrible at picking highlights, however, it still often misses out on moments. Why not let the player replay a full race? Okay, you're about to see me pull a Max Verstappen Austria 2019 against Leclerc. Yeah, that's a pretty cool highlight. Okay, a good thing about the replays is actually how realistic the cars sound, as you can hear right now. Now they've done a pretty good job of simulating the sounds you hear on TV when you're watching F1. However, that's the sound of outside of the car. The onboard sound actually doesn't sound that great in my opinion. It's not terrible, but it's definitely far from realistic, and I'm surprised they haven't found a way to make the car sound as raw and mechanic as on a real onboard. Okay, next up a minor annoyance in Spain. As you can see, on the exit curb of this turn, you have a piece of curb missing. It's there in real life, why not in the game? Yeah, it's kind of annoying to have kind of a bump on that part of the track. It's not a huge deal, but it's kind of annoying. Anyway, those are my complaints about the game. In conclusion, I would say that the game should give the players more control on multiple aspects. Thanks for watching this video, and see you in the next one.